All right, so this is going to be video one of, I don't know what to call this, maybe the Learning Architects crafting room or the Learning Architects master room. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I wanted to detail the 3 steps that I teach all my students on how to start mastering tests and test questions. And the reason this is so important is because we have to go into the test and specifically test questions with a plan. Okay, and the great comparison I use for this is, imagine you were a physician and you had a patient that you had to treat either through medicine or through surgery, especially through surgery, and you went into that without a plan. Imagine how the patient would feel, imagine how scared you would feel, and imagine the outcome. It's not going to be good. Patient's not going to have treatment probably at all, and even worse, they might get the wrong treatment, which would worsen their situation. So we have to go in with a plan, right? It's the same for being a lawyer. If you go in to defend a client without a plan, you're going to lose the case. So we have to go in with a plan. And starting to create plans for this kind of things now is going to help us in the future when we are a physician or we are a lawyer, we are a grad student, and we have to create a plan for what we're doing, because that's the process of which our profession is going to have to engage in. So, with the importance being established, here are the steps that I use to start conquering test questions and tests in general. So, it starts with kind of a pre-step one. If there's a passage associated with the question, we read that passage first always. And the reason is because if we read the question and the answers first, our brain is going to either consciously or subconsciously attach itself to an answer that it thinks is right without reading the passage. Now, the reason this is dangerous is because the passage may be saying something different from what you believe. And we have to go by what the passage, the author says. That is law. What we think and what we believe in our previous knowledge on a non, testing subject for what the passage is talking about, our knowledge cannot contaminate that. Okay, what the author says is law, and we have to go by that. So we always read that first. So step one. That was pre-step one, this is step one. Step one is we look at the question, we read the question, and we ask ourselves, what specific piece of knowledge or strategy is this question asking me to employ? The test makers are very deliberate when they make a test. Each question they make, they're assessing you on something specific that you should have learned. That's how the test makers are making this test. They're thinking, okay, well, let's test the student on if they know the formula for horizontal force calculation in basic physics. Okay, so they might word the question, they might have values in the question, and they might even mention horizontal force, which would tell you, oh, this question is asking about calculating horizontal force. What are the variables involved in that? What do the values look like? What do the answers look like? And what's a logical answer for this question? So that's what you should be asking yourself when you read these questions, is what specific piece of knowledge or strategy is this question asking me about? Okay, that's step one. Step two is to look at the answers and see which one most logically completes or fits into that knowledge or strategy that you have identified via step one. So if it's horizontal force, the answers might look like, if it's horizontal force, the answers will look like newtons. Maybe they'll have joules as a unit in there. Maybe they'll have, kilograms, meters squared, second squared. Maybe they'll have pressure in there. You have to pick the right one that would most logically complete the answer, right? Which would be that newtons. You'd be like, oh, I can already narrow this down to 2 because both answers have newtons. So now I went from a 25% chance of guessing to a 50% chance just by using step one and step two. Okay, so step one, Identify what piece of knowledge or strategy the question is asking you to employ, which tells your brain, it's kind of giving directions to your brain where to look. Step 2, look at the answers and see which one most logically completes that piece of knowledge or strategy. And then step 3 is just to execute on that strategy. Execute on what the question is asking you to do. And this should narrow it down from 2 questions to 1. So those are the 3 steps. And again, those are very useful because we go into each question with a plan. Okay? And by doing that, we don't go into each question blind and we know what we're doing. Go step by step by step. Plus, this becomes like a muscle. We exercise this, it gets better and better and better each time. We get faster and more accurate each time we take a test. Okay, so those are the 3 steps. Identify the strategy or piece of knowledge being tested on the question. Look at the answers to see which one most logically completes or is correlated with that knowledge or strategy. Then execute on the strategy. Keep trying this. It's going to continually build over time, and just like a muscle, it's going to get better and better. Okay? So that's the end of episode 1. Shoot me a message or comment if you have any questions or you want like a detailed setting protocol. Got a couple spots open, but that's it.